What's a cognitive distortion and why do so many people have them? Cognitive distortions are simply ways that our mind convinces us of something that is not really true. These inaccurate thoughts are usually used to reinforce negative thinking or emotions, telling ourselves things that sound rational and accurate, but really only serve to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. For instance, a person might tell themselves, "I always fail when I try to do something new. I therefore fail at everything I try." This is an example of black or white or polarized thinking. The person is only seeing things in absolutes, that if they fail at one thing, they must fail at all things. If they added, "I must be a complete loser and failure" to their thinking, that would also be an example of overgeneralization, taking a failure at one specific task and generalizing it their very self and identity. Cognitive distortions are at the core of what many cognitive behavioral and other kinds of therapists try and help a person learn to change in psychotherapy. By learning to correctly identify this kind of stinking thinking, a person can then answer the negative thinking back and refute it. By refuting the negative thinking over and over again, it will slowly diminish over time and will be automatically replaced by more rational, balanced thinking. Here are 12 the most common cognitive distortions. Number 12. Filtering. A person engaging in filter or mental filtering takes the negative details and magnifies those details while filtering out all positive aspects of a situation. For instance, a person may pick out a single, unpleasant detail and dwell on it exclusively so that their vision of reality becomes darkened or distorted. When a cognitive filter is applied, the person sees only the negative and ignores anything positive. Number 11. Polarized thinking or black and white thinking. In polarized thinking, things are either black or white, all or nothing. We have to be perfect or we are a complete and abject failure. There is no middle ground. A person with polarized thinking places people or situations in either or categories with no shades of gray or allowing for the complexity of most people and most situations. A person with black and white thinking sees things only in extremes. Number 10. Overgeneralization. In this cognitive distortion, a person comes to a general conclusion based on a single incident or a single piece of evidence. If something bad happens just once, they expect it to happen over and over again. A person may see a single unpleasant event as part of never-ending pattern of defeat. For instance, if a student gets a poor grade in one paper in one semester, they conclude that they are a horrible student and should quit school. Number 9. Jumping to conclusions. Without individuals saying so, a person who jumps to conclusions knows what another person is feeling and thinking, and exactly why they act the way they do. In particular, a person is able to determine how others are feeling toward the person, as thought they could read their mind. Jumping to conclusions can also manifest itself as fortune-telling, where a person believes their entire future is preordained, whether it be in school, work, or romantic relationships. For example, a person may conclude that someone is holding a grudge against them, but doesn't actually bother to find out if they are correct. Another example involving fortune-telling is when a person may anticipate that things will turn out badly in their next relationship and will feel convinced that their prediction is already an established fact, so why bother dating? Number 8. Catastrophizing. When a person engages in catastrophizing, they expect disaster to strike no matter what. This is also referred to as magnifying and can also come out in its opposite behavior, minimizing. In this distortion, a person hears about a problem and uses what-if questions, for example, what if tragedy strikes, what if it happens to me, to imagine the absolute worst occurring. For example, a person might exaggerate the importance of insignificant events, such as their mistake or someone else's achievement, or they may inappropriately shrink the magnitude of significant events until they appear tiny. For example, a person's own desirable qualities or someone else's imperfections. Number 7. Personalization. Personalization is a distortion where a person believes that everything others do or say in some kind of direct, personal reaction to them. They literally take virtually everything personally, even when something is not meant in that way. A person who experiences that kind of thinking will also compare themselves to others, trying to determine who is smarter, better looking, etc. A person engaging in personalization may also see themselves as the cause of some unhealthy external event that they were not responsible for. For example, we were late to the dinner party and caused everyone to have a terrible time. If I had only pushed my husband to leave on time, this wouldn't have happened. Number 6. Fallacy of fairness. In the fallacy of fairness, a person feels resentful because they think that they know what is fair, but other people won't agree with them. As our parents tell us when we are growing up and something doesn't go our way, life is not always fair. People who go through life applying a measuring rules against every situation judging its fairness will often feel resentful, angry, and even hopelessness because of it. Because life isn't fair, things will not always work out in a person's favor even when they should. Number 5. Shoulds. Should statements appear as a list of ironclad rules about how every person should behave. People who break the rules make a person following the should statements angry. They also feel guilty when they violate their own rules. A person may often believe that they are trying to motivate themselves with shoulds and shouldn'ts as if they have to be punished before they can do anything. For example, I really should exercise. I shouldn't be so lazy. Musts and oughts are also offenders. The emotional consequence is guilt. When a person directs should statements toward others, they often feel anger, frustration, and resentment. Number 4. Emotional reasoning. The distortion of emotional reasoning can be summed up by the statement, "If I feel that way, it must be true." Whatever a person is feeling is believed to be true automatically and unconditionally. If a person feels stupid and boring, then they must be stupid and boring. Emotions are extremely strong in people and can overrule our rational thoughts and reasoning. Emotional reasoning is when a person's emotions takes over our thinking entirely, blotting out all rationality and logic. The person who engages in emotional reasoning reflects the way things really are. I feel it, therefore it must be true. Number 3. Fallacy of change. In the fallacy of change, a person expects that other people will change to suit them if they just pressure or cajole them enough. A person needs to change people because their hopes for success and happiness seems to depend entirely on them. This distortion is often found in thinking around relationships. For example, a girlfriend who tries to get her boyfriend to improve his appearance and manners in the belief that this boyfriend is perfect in every other way and will make them happy if they only change these few minor things. Number 2. Always being right. When a person engages in this distortion, they are continually putting other people on trial to prove that their own opinions and actions are the absolute correct ones. To a person engaging in always being right, being wrong is unthinkable. They will go to any length to demonstrate their rightness. For example, I don't care how badly arguing with me makes you feel, I'm going to win this argument no matter what because I'm right. Being right often is more important than the feelings of others around the person who engages in this cognitive distortion, even loved ones. Number 1. Heaven's reward fallacy. The final cognitive distortion is the false belief that a person's sacrifice and self-denial will eventually pay off, as if some global force is keeping score. This is a riff on the fallacy of fairness because in a fair world, the people who work the hardest will get the largest reward. A person who sacrifices and works hard but doesn't experience the expected payoff will usually feel bitter when the reward doesn't come. Have you ever noticed any of these cognitive distortions in your behavior? Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the little bell to be notified when we upload fresh content.